Jojo Flow beats.
Welcome to Season 5 of the Color of Success podcast, where we talk with guests from AAPI and ethnic minority communities and have real discussions about mental health and what success looks like. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie J. Wong. Before we get into it, remember to subscribe to our mailing list for free at colorsuccesspodcast.com so you don't miss any updates. There, you will find our socials, YouTube channel, and all episodes on streaming platforms for great additional content. I'm super excited to have another rapper on the show. His name is Creed Chameleon, and he was originally from Hawaii, Las Vegas-based now, and Fil-Am hip-hop artist. He embodies the true definition of what realism and lyricism entails. His accolades includes touring on the Vans Warped Tour and even opening up for big names such as Tech N9ne, Wu-Tang Clan, and Nas, just to name a few. He has worked with the likes of Bxmbz, Propaganda, and other well-known hip-hop artists that make Creed well-versed in his craft. His unique sound over hypnotic lo-fi beats or either boom-bop raps makes Creed a formidable artist choice within the Las Vegas music community and worldwide. Currently, Creed has teamed up and joined forces with DOTWAV, a super group consisting of artists such as Bxmbz, Alika Manuel, KennFrancis, Maddmatt, Jojo Flow, and Benny Digital. Their self-titled mixtape project DOTWAV is out now on all music platforms. Creed Chameleon, what's up? I always love doing that.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah. You gotta get that DJ air horn. Yep. Hell yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I want to jump right in and walk me through your journey, because there are quite a few Fil-Am artists out there, but you have had some major success. I mean, you got to tell me how it was working with Nas, and also just how has it been?
I think just to start off, I mean, just coming from Hawaii, it definitely has grown through the years as far as the music community and whatnot. But I'm talking days where going on AOL and whatnot was the way of trying to connect with people in the mainland, or just hearing things. And it was definitely a struggle. I mean, but it was crazy because during my elementary and middle school years, I was already in tune to a lot of hip hop music, where a lot of my peers in my school were very in tune to a lot of the mainstream stuff.
Mhm.
So if an example would be my freshman year, a lot of people were into the West Coast hip hop, like Dre,
Yep.
Snoop Dogg. For me, I was more into Wu-Tang Clan, Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
And then the only maybe West Coast inspirations were Pharcyde. But yeah, I think my journey was just going through just the battles of just kind of that odd kid that was listening to this type of music, where there was only a certain few that was listening to this type of music, or this type of hip hop. But a lot of it has contributed to just freestyle battles. Yes, lost a lot, a lot of battles, but
I mean, Eminem did too. So
yeah,
look where he's at. So
it's how life is, right? You go through struggles, you go through obstacles, and you only get better through the institutional knowledge and experience. So it only got me better through freestyle battles. I'm not saying I'm the greatest now, but back then, I definitely won a lot of competitions, and it got a lot of notoriety and a lot of noise, where people were looking at who is this kid, and I think that was the biggest thing pushing, out of Hawaii. And that's how I was able to open up with some of these big name acts like Nas, Wu-Tang, Talib Kweli, Mos Def, just to name a few. Yeah.
how was it to meet the people that you looked up to? And I imagine, again, if I met BTS, I would, all professionalism, my calm and cool would be out the window. So how did you even perform next to them?
Hey, by the way, no cap on this too. I'd probably be fanboying on some BTS stuff, but
I'd look at my pillow. Let's see my pillow back here. Yeah. I flew to Vegas just for that, and that's why I was staying over there with my girls. So
yeah, that's my boy in love. That would be kind of on rotation, in the morning. So okay, so BTS. But as far as meeting the the likes of like Nas or some of these big name acts. It was definitely like inspiring just to, get to meet them. Some of them were very humble, like, off the bat, I was thinking like, they were going to be like very, egotistical, like prideful, like, but Nas was super cool. Like the first time I met him, he was like, oh, you opening up for me? And I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, I like your tattoos, man. Who did your ink? And I'm like, oh, my boy Lee. And he's like, you think your boy can go to the hotel real quick and hook me up with some ink? And I'm like, I'm on the phone real quick. I'm like, yo, Lee, like Nas wants you to ink him right now. And he's like, I'm there. So like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they did commit to that appointment, but it was kind of cool just to kind of meet him. And but yeah, like it was definitely like inspiring and like but I think like the biggest thing, like just seeing like these artists, just seeing how the professionalism, even like candid parts, like where they're doing sound check and you're looking at guys like that are so perfect in their craft when you see them on TV, but making mistakes, like, and they're saying like, hey, like I'm sounding so messy. And the biggest one was like Merce. He would like he would rap like other people's songs just to get the vocals right. So it wasn't even his song. Like he would do Warren G's like Regulate. And then like, I'm like, hey, that's not your song, but he'll do it. And he'd be like, oh, I'm good. It's just cool to see that they're just, like we look at them like in a stature of like such a higher like level, but they're just humans and, regular normal people, and they joke around too. So it was cool to see that.
Yeah. And I think those behind the scenes things are really, really awesome because you get to see just those little either superstitions or just the regular warm-ups that fans wouldn't see. And I know RM from BTS loves Nas. And when, he met him, it was just a huge moment for him. And so I think that's really cool, is to be able to see our favorite artist as humans.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that I talk about is mental health. I mean, have there been any challenges to being a minority in this business?
I think a lot of it definitely like, well, one in Hawaii, like there's no such thing, if I correct me if I'm wrong, like as far as like a majority of certain ethnicities, it's just so multicultural already as it is, like, you know what I mean? Like, but I think definitely if I'm going to say like, as far as the struggle of pushing myself as a Hawaii, Filipino, Asian artist coming out to just do hip hop music, yeah, it's a struggle because in Hawaii, like what's prominent is going to be reggae music, Hawaiian music. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why the likes of, like Rebel Soldiers or like, like, and I know he's not from Hawaii, but like J Boog is very popular. Like, but yeah, it definitely is a struggle. And I do see where, like hip hop is maybe something that is not like at the time super accepted to the masses because of the certain like, culture background, certain like depiction of like,
right, the perception.
Packing gats or like, slanging drugs. But the stuff that I was like doing, I was trying to like just kind of, I guess, like write a lot of emotional raps, like things I was going through, like, whether it be, like addiction, whether it be breakups, family being torn, like those kind of stuff, like, was the things that I kind of conveyed. And I gained a lot of fans from it because some I still have some dedicated fans. They'll still say like, like I only gravitated to your music because I went through the same thing. Like, so, but yeah, like I think it definitely was a struggle. But it's just in Hawaii, predominantly it's gonna be reggae, Hawaiian music. But it's the truth. I mean, and I love reggae and Hawaiian music, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things like, unless I like start to transition into that route, then I could probably do something. But it's something for me, like hip hop has always been my blood, and that's my, like, it's always been my cup of tea, my in the pocket thing. So like I stuck with hip hop.
So that brings up that topic that's kind of sensitive to a lot of people, is addiction. And, I'm an addiction specialist. And so I wonder, what led you to be vulnerable about that? And can you tell us a little bit more about how you coped with that piece of your life?
Yeah. And, truth be told, like, like I was addicted to like crystal meth during like after high school. And, like a lot of it was like traumatic stages in my life where my dad passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the cusp of me like going into like college. So I was very dependent and looked up to my dad a lot. Like, my dad was like an awesome like father figure, like, so I went through like stages where I had to do things on my own and my mom didn't know how to like kind of raise me in a sense because I was just so all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that with addiction, yeah, like I went through rehab, therapy, but the biggest thing for me was like hitting rock bottom and then you got nothing.
What does that
So
look like? Like no money? Like, can you be specific? Because a lot of people say that,
yeah,
oh, we had to hit rock bottom in order to come back and be in recovery, right?
yeah, to the point where like my mom disowned me, like my family didn't want to like be part of me. Like I lost friends
Mm-hmm.
because they were like trying to help me, but then I didn't listen. So therefore, like I just had nobody around, like to the point where like I was unemployed, like kind of homeless in some sense. Like I was bouncing house to house
Mm-hmm.
during those times. And what I learned was that like once you hit that rock bottom, there's really nothing else you could do. And like, like I'm sorry to be blunt, but like it's like one of those things like survival of the fittest, right? You either live or die. Like, so I chose to just live. Like, like I was like, the hell with this. Like I need to like muster up the strength and get out of this because like why am I like going house to house? Like this is like crappy. Like, eating one Sapporo Ichiban ramen packets like per day.
Oof.
Like, what I mean? Like it wasn't, and it was tough. So, I eventually got out of it and like, it definitely was a struggle afterwards. But the biggest thing, like, I think was like the peak point where like I was like, okay, I'm done, like, with drugs and whatnot was like my son, my son was born, like was in a relationship that only lasted a year and it like and definitely some of it was part of like drugs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But when my son grew up, like it was just like noticing like like this precious life like growing up and I'm about to lose him if I don't do something. And then I just knew like just like looking up to my pops, like my pops would just never do that to me. So I think
Right.
that was the thing. And yeah, like I got over it, never did drugs since. And definitely it's still a struggle. Like it's been years, like I'm gonna tell you, like almost 2 decades, and it's still like like it festers sometimes. But like I think music, not to be cheesy and corny, but like music definitely was like the therapy. Like
Mm-hmm.
like how I always like using the analogy, like when my sister would write diaries, like dear diary,
Yeah.
da 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 da. So same as for me, like I just expressed it through music. So I just picked up like a composition book, started scribing, like and it's been always like helpful for me. And another thing too is that like being able to analyze my inner self, because a lot of it like in therapy is like being self-aware.
Yep.
Like how you really truly feel and acknowledge the feeling, because I think that's the biggest thing too. Like I hated feeling sad, I hated feeling upset, I hated feeling like a certain feeling that made me feel cringe and a certain way, that I had to go to substance, whether it be like alcohol or
Mm-hmm.
marijuana and whatnot. And but then I learned like what, I gotta just like
Feel
face,
it.
yeah, feel it, acknowledge it. If you need the time to just step away, like, and I tell my boys this, like like if you're feeling a certain way, like step away, man. Like you don't need to keep doing shows with us or make music. Like stay home, like really feel what you feel, because I promise you, like if you do, yes, it'll be scary, but you'll get to acknowledge it, and then you'll accept it, and then that's when you got to take your steps and whatnot.
It's very
So
well said. Very well said. And I think a large part of recovery is building credibility again, because you were saying, my mom pretty much disowned me because she couldn't
yeah,
trust you, right? And
yep,
a large part is people will say, I'm getting better, but your actions have to be consistent with what you're saying, because that trust needs to be rebuilt. The other part is, I'm really happy you spoke about your son, because he's looking to you as a role model, right?
Yep.
And that is a really big motivator to keep your life together. And the other part is that therapy is meant to help you deal with those triggers, because it's not a you're cured if you're sober. I think that you spoke to
Yeah.
something really important, is that these feelings will come up again to trigger some cravings, because essentially you're using drugs so that you didn't have to feel. And it's a
Yep.
temporary band-aid because it's avoidant behavior. So, I mean, so much. I'm so proud of you for being sober for 2 decades. And, here's to continuing to live your best life, as
Yeah.
our mutual friend would say. So,
Yeah.
uh, she says that all the
Yep.
time.
Shout out.
Yep. Shout out to Vera. So, that's the other thing, is that you have done so much music, you are doing so much music, and you have a full-time job in security, which is
Yeah.
also very stressful. So how do you manage your mental
Yes.
health doing all of those things?
So one, with like work, I think I just had a niche like for like AP and security, and just like the way that the company's going with my work, it's like, like trying to, see much more than just the theft and fraud piece, but seeing like, why are they stealing?
Yeah, the
Is
people.
there, yeah, like, is there something that we can help, like to prevent it? Maybe, because sometimes I always, and this is the thing, I think this is like one of those things, just because like maybe through my experiences in my life, is like, sometimes the people are not bad. It's because the situation that they're in is making them cause to do this as a survival mode. So it's not personal. So, and I want to say this, and like 9 times out of 10, when I stop somebody like from stealing or I arrest them, they don't usually really fight with me. Like I usually just tell them like, hey, look, man, like I understand what you're going through. I'm like, this is nothing personal. And I always try to say the analogy is like, if somebody went to your house and they took your TV, I don't think you would just kind of like tell them like, oh, well, yeah, it'd be like, oh, well, oh, thank you, give me my TV back. Like, like I think you would kind of do some type of reprimanding. But so like, I think a lot of times they come in and they respect it, because I don't treat them like they're like bad people of society. Like, it's just like, I get where you're coming from, but you got to understand where I'm coming from too. So a lot of times, yeah, like, like they come in, they comply. It's just the mutual respect, So, but like, as far as like work and the balance of music, I feel work is just like, of course, stability, financial, like, like I'm able to have this house, live comfortably. I like my job, like being able to like work, train, teach, develop people. Just because I was like just one of those like lower ranked AP people that never really thought I could be an executive or a manager. And then now I'm like, I got my college degree, like, like, which I never thought I was going to ever do.
Right.
And I was able to attain that. And then with music, I think it's just a passion. Like it's my passion. It's my own stress reliever. And like, it's like my thrill. Like, I like getting these shows. I love dropping new music. I love the fact that people are like gravitating and loving the music. And even if they don't, like maybe I won't get as much streams, but I feel like it's just my way of form of like expressing in my own right and manifesting like just like good energy towards like what you do. It'll like flourish. I always believe in like, I guess a Hawaii thing is like good vibes, right? Like if you,
I was going to say that, like Ohana, love, and it sounds like you really integrate that into your music, into the way that you interact with people. And not all people are going to treat those that steal in that way. And I think you're in a really key position to, again, work with Vera to really understand the human condition. But your music means so much to you. And so I know you said stability is one thing, but what keeps you necessarily from going all in and just continuing to pursue it? Because I think a lot of musicians are in that exact same limbo as you.
Yeah. I think like the biggest thing is like, truth be told, like making music is a struggle, like, and make it like you using it as a way of like, like livelihood, like being a musician. It's tough. It's a tough industry. I think for me, why I'm not all in is because one, I have other responsibilities, like I still help my son. I have family stuff that I do. And of course, college debt. But
what? That just get excused?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like I got bills, like, this house. But I think the biggest thing is like, if I were to go all in, I think it would be to the point where like I know that I'm able to live comfortably. Because I think like one of the biggest things too is like before, like, and I was instilled when I was raised up, like, you got to save money. You got to save money. So when you retire, you're going to have all this money and then like, you'll live comfortably. I don't know. I thought about it through the years. Like, I'm like, you know what? I see my mom, like she has money, but she can't really walk as much. Like she can't really travel, limitations, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to struggle this whole time. Like when I can function, like I can run, I can walk, I can hike, I can travel, and then settle myself to not do anything now. So for me, I think like, like what I've learned is just like, it doesn't matter how much money I have, as long as like, like I think happiness is like where you're just like living comfortably and that every day you look forward to it. Like to me, that's success. Like that's happiness is success. It goes hand in hand. Like, it's not financial, like what you have, and nowadays, like I'm getting older to the point where like, I don't really care if I got like the new Air Maxes or new kicks.
Isn't it weird how that happens? It's like in your 20s, you're just like, oh my God, I got to grind. I want this, and this, like these status symbols. And then as you get older, you're just like, hey, those are great. And I just, want to enjoy experiences and being around people that I love.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things like when you get older, I feel like the comfort and just being able to just like, I don't know, it's like one of those things like even I like when I go to shows now and I perform, like all my guys are younger than me, all getting lit, turned up, drinking, whatever. I'm the guy that's usually like, okay, cool, like let's go eat and then I'm gonna go home.
Right.
Like, so like, and yeah, I'll have a drink or two, like, with the boys and whatnot if it's a really good show. But sometimes it's like, I feel like I look forward to, I don't know if it's like an old thing, but like I like waking up in the morning to see the day and like, start the day off already.
And not being hungover.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and being like I want to make my coffee. I want to like, like turn on some beats, like get inspired somewhat, start my day off schedule. Like that's how like I feel like my happiness is just like the comfortability and like being content where I'm at. It doesn't really matter money anymore. So
yeah, our values really align because I think a lot of people come and are just seeking the next, and they think that that's going to make them happy. But I think true happiness, for my perspective anyways, is that contentment. Like, can you be happy with what you have now? That doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals. It just means that can you live in the moment and still appreciate everything that you have and that you've accomplished in a moment?
Yes. Yep. True. That's facts. Yep.
So my favorite part is that I asked for if you could freestyle for us. And like Vera was like hella laughing because she was like, go. Like, wow. I know. But I'm super excited about this. I did give him some heads up, guys. So it's not like 100% like surprise, but it is still nerve-wracking. So yeah, when you're ready.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, since I don't really have a beat, I'll just probably just do a acapella or whatnot. So, okay. I guess here it goes. So I'm from the HI. I love performing when I stage dive. I say hi to the people and I say aloha. Probably chill and content in a sofa. Probably sip on a soda. Probably diet. We're probably just turn up the volume or maybe keep it quiet. And yo, I know this is the type of session when it's therapy. I know I'm talking with Stephanie. I'm reading her mind like telepathy. Maybe I don't need a melody when I'm speaking with the way that I free. And I'm coming from the island of Hawaii. Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas from the 702. I'm representing DOTWAV. That's a hell of a crew. And I say peace to the people and keep it positive. And yo, never being negative. I keep it opposite. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You like got everything in there. Everything. Like just a brief time. You got everything. Like where you're from, where you're at now, and where you are in the present. That just wraps it all up perfectly. Well, you need to put a beat on that and we'll, the 2 versions. That'll be dope.
Yeah, we'll get a collab.
Exactly. I know. Vera's so embarrassing. She's like sending you stuff. I'm like, I recorded that like 10 years ago. Okay.
I know. Vera's so awesome.
I know. Because I karaoke when she stays with me, I karaoke every day. So she's hearing like me just unleash like Mariah Carey, like all those things. And
damn, okay.
Yeah. And then she's like, because the songs I recorded in the past are very restrained. There was like restrictions on how much I could let go. But when she listens to me, she's like, can you karaoke now? I'm like, I'm a jukebox now. Like,
but that's awesome. Hey, truth be told, the first time like I started rapping I've sung before, but it was always through karaoke.
Yeah.
Like that's the that's the connection.
Filipino way, dude. Like you go over to people's houses and you karaoke. But yeah, I do it every day for my stress relief. Like I love Blackpink because I don't know if you heard of them, but like just
K-pop. Yep.
So where can we listen to more music, find out about your shows and all your socials and fun marketing, things like that?
Yeah, so like for my music, you can find me like on all like digital music platforms. Just look up Creed Chameleon. I'm affiliated with a crew like with a bunch of multi-talented like AAPI artists as well. DOTWAV, just the spelling DOTWAV, DOTWAV. Mm-hmm. And then you can find me on like IG, Creed Chameleon. Links are all on there. But yeah, like definitely like I'm the type of artist, like if you message me, I'll respond. I like to hear jokes, see memes, makes me laugh, brightens up my day. So, but yeah, but look forward to hearing from everybody, whoever's listening and whatnot, and hope you enjoy the show and music and all that.
Absolutely. And I'll definitely have some people to link you with that have been alumni of our show that are continuing to do music. And
nice.
It is a really great community, and I'm glad that you came into the COS family and keeping in contact. So thanks, Creed Chameleon, for being on the show today, and I'm going to listen to the music.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to support us for free by subscribing to our mailing list at colorsuccesspodcast.com. There, you will find our socials, YouTube channel, and all episodes on streaming platforms for great additional content. As Rob Heaps from Partner Track said, success is contagious, so come catch it.